On Nationwide this evening, we're in the area of Muscraí in County Cork. We hear of the Gaeltacht area of Coolay and of its deep connections with music, including the musical genius of the late Sean O'Riada. We see how his family and friends gathered to unveil a monument to his honour. And we drop into the highest pub in Ireland.
You're welcome to Nationwide. Tá fáilte roimh chuigad leor. This evening we're coming to you from the Muscraí Gaeltacht in West Cork, and during the course of the programme we hope to give you a flavour of what life is like here, and also to meet some of the people and to see some of the places that make this area so special. First of all though, we want you to sit back and take a quick look at some of the beautiful sights around. And we'll be looking at more of the beauty of this Gaeltacht area later on. Now, this is the Cultural Events Centre for the whole of the Gaeltacht area. It's here in Ballyvourne, and we're going to have a chat really about the heritage and the history of the Gaeltacht with Ultan O'Hay, who, now let me get your title right, you're the Munster Development Officer for Oige na Gaeltachta.
That's right,
so
Mary.
What does that mean? What do you do?
We promote and try and preserve Irish among the young people in the Gaeltacht areas. It's a nationwide organisation, but I cover Munster and the Gaeltachts here.
How big is the Gaeltacht here, Ultan? What are we talking about? Say, how many parishes?
There are 3 parishes in the Gaeltacht here. You have Kilnamatra, Ballyvourne and Bélangerig. And inside Ballyvourne and Bélangerig, you'd have Rainaree and Coolay. So there are 5 national schools in the area. And then there are 2 secondary schools. You have Scoilvure in Ballingeary and Clár Nationwide here in Ballyvourne.
I suppose, as in every Gaeltacht area, there's a huge sense of tradition and music and the arts and poetry. And I know that very recently you lost a very dear poet, Donal Lehan.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, a great loss to the area and to Irish in general. Donal Lehan was a great man, a poet. He was very inspirational. He was a teacher around in the schools here.
Well, I'm just going to read a couple of lines from a poem that I came across by him. It's called Cullum, and you might just put it in context for it. An Súlán a sní Hardoris, Curbán Caha as Ceann Sléibhe, I go Hairih na Saoiliachta.
Yeah, I think that's as beautifully done as usual by Donal, but I think it describes the area perfectly. The Salon is the local river here, which happens to be the only male river in Ireland, and it runs from near the top of Coombe and is a tributary of the Lee.
The top of the mountain, Ceann Sléibhe.
I think maybe in the last line of Donal's poem there in the Go Hairih na Saoiliachta, I think that maybe exemplifies the area more, where it's everyone's collective psyche or imagination. It doesn't respect town lands or borders, but it's everyone who is in the Gaeltacht and who wants to be in the Gaeltacht together.
A little bit of the history there of the Gaeltacht in Muscraí. Now, we're in the Ionad Cultura, and we're going to have a chat now with the Banistor, Bríd Cranach. Bríd, Nóflach goes on here?
Nóflach, yes. Our core activities would be our concerts, traditional, contemporary dance, classical music, exhibitions, classes, different classes for older people, for younger people, workshops, festivals.
And I can see, looking around at the amount of posters that are on the wall, have these people all performed here in the Ionad Cultura?
They have. I mean, we've had the best here.
Absolutely.
Frankie Gavin, Liam O'Flynn, the Crash Ensemble, Éilíoir Leonard, R.T. Vanbrugh String Quartet, they've all performed here. We encourage, obviously, Gaeltacht artists, but also artists that excel in their art form.
And Bríd, there's a lovely art exhibition here that we've been admiring, and we'll be hearing a little bit more about it in a while. But you've another one starting soon, Lecéile.
We have a group of artists who are based in Muscraí, Tori Muscraí, and every year they have an exhibition, and this exhibition will be opening here very, very soon as part of Éisio Dhéarmadín, which is one of the festivals that we're involved in.
While we were chatting there with Breed, we mentioned the fact that there's an art exhibition on here in the Unad Cultura at the moment. It's the work of Catherine Cronin, who's actually from Galway. So what brings you here, Catherine?
My father originally is from here, so I would have spent a lot of my summers down here. A lot of my inspiration is from Ballingeary, Ballyvourne, the area.
I noticed, Catherine, looking around at your paintings, that you've got some very diverse styles. And, you know, we start with the bright colours, the landscapes, the seascapes, and also different materials and human forms.
Yeah, well, the name of the exhibition is Journey, and that's literally what it is. It's from when I first started painting 20 years ago right to what I'm doing now with abstracts.
And, Catherine, as if you weren't busy enough, you also make these Coppel Lewis Camore.
Yes,
I
do.
Horse.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, I got taught by a lovely man, Sid, up in Uachtarard. He brought me to his workshop, and 3 days we actually made the one over there. We make it from blocks of wood, just simple wood, glue it together, screw it and hand carve it. It's all hand carved.
And how long would it take you to do that?
It could take up to 3 weeks to do one, yeah.
And then you paint it afterwards, do you?
You paint it, yeah, you dabble it, and then it's ready to rock.
And I'd have anything, I'd give anything for hair like that. It's perfect.
Thank you very much.
From art to music, I've stepped inside the art and I'm going to interrupt the music class given by the Múntóir Conlograda and the Daltí, Shauna and Maeve. Conal, what actually are you teaching here? It's the traditional Irish flute.
It's the Irish traditional wooden black side flute of an ethnic and Hibernian nature.
And is that different to the flute we'd be familiar with?
Basically, I suppose fundamentally this would be the predecessor to the metal flute that you'd be familiar with in classical and in jazz music.
Well, the sound was lovely as I was coming in. So, Conal, do you have a lot of classes here? You know, do a lot of people come to music classes?
Yeah, indeed. I have people coming from the small age of 7 right up to adults who are either starting or just coming back to it. Maybe I haven't given up in their youth.
I suppose it's no surprise, though, Conal, that there's such a tradition of music in this area. I'm looking at the name Sean O'Riada there on the piano behind you.
Indeed, yeah. There's been a long-lasting song tradition in particular here. And in recent times, there's been a huge upsurge in interest in music.
Now, I know you're from Cork City, but you live here.
I do.
And, you know, is it the heritage, the culture and the music that brought you here?
I suppose it was, yeah. There's a very strong...
Or love?
Well, yeah, my wife is from here.
Okay.
Well spotted.
But what is the kind of the ethos here?
I suppose the fact that it's a Gaeltacht had an attraction to me as well, a strong singing tradition. The people here are interesting as well in that they seem to be very independent, very culturally involved and great fun, you know. I used to come out here when I was a kid and it always made an impression on me. So I'm here full time.
So your dream has been realised?
I suppose, yeah.
And just before we finish, Conal, would you mind? We'd love another piece of music. Shauna and Maeve?
Yeah. No.
Leaving the lovely strains of the flute playing behind us, we've come into another class. And I have to tell you, there is no shortage of art in this Unad Cultura. We've come into a class and the teacher is Bernadette Cotter. Bernadette, cad tarlúnt an seo?
Well, seo wrong Alina agor dine fásta, cudacha an cudasmácha osciún seaca cuig.
So most people in this class are older members of the community?
Yes, they are.
And how often does it happen?
We meet once a week, and a lot of these people never painted before. When they came first, they'd never picked up a paintbrush, never saw paint. Some had, but most had not.
And what's the reaction of people? You know, I can see that they're very busy at their work, and the art is very, very impressive. I mean, I presume it's a social outlet as well?
It is, but when the class starts, there's very little talking.
I can see that.
Yeah, no, they work very hard. We take a break. The class runs for 4 hours. We take a break for about 10 or 15 minutes, and literally the break is very short. they're all very anxious to come back and continue.
Are you a very cross teacher because they're afraid to even
I
look
sometimes
up?
wonder if I left the room would there be more talking.
But it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the
I
task?
do, yeah. I do.
And where do you get the money for the materials and the canvas?
With Ross na Gaeltachta, and also each member pays a fee every year.
I see. So you're going strong.
Very strong, yeah. Very strong.
Just a very short distance from the Onad Cultura is Chapel Gubnat and the parish church. St Gubnat is the patron saint of the area. I want to find out a little bit about her, so we have come to have a chat with the parish priest and Tahar Donal O'Brien. St Gubnat, how did she end up here?
Well, the story is that, or the story goes that she was told to go on a journey and to go to the place where she would see 9 white deer. And she saw various numbers of white deer. I never saw a white deer in my life, but Gubnat anyway saw the 9 white deer in Ballyvourne, and she founded her convent here. And she came here in the 6th century.
Father, what qualities are associated with St Gubnat?
I would think the main one is healing. A lot of the time people come to the St Gubnat shrine and they pray. Most of the time people are praying for somebody who is ill.
Father, tell us about this statue, this wooden statue of St Gubnat. Somebody said to me today when we were going around that it could be up to 1,000 years old.
It possibly could. I'm not in a position to definitively say whether or which, but it is quite old, and it is, as I say, the main thing about it is that it is a replica of an original in gold, and presumably whoever did this statue knew or saw the original, and he or she had something to go by. And it's a statue that has acquired the status of a relic in this area.
With scenery like that, is it any wonder that this place is alive with music? And you know, when it comes to music, there's one name that's synonymous with this whole area. It's that of the late great Sean O'Riordan, who spent many years in these parts, just a few miles up the road actually, in Coolay. And it's there that the people of the area got together recently to unveil a life-size sculpture in his honour. And Nationwide went along.
The story of Sean O'Riordan is interesting in that there are various different tellings of it, and the one that's most frequently known probably is the one that he was going to be this great European classical composer who went to Dublin and went to Paris and London, and then that he felt that he wasn't doing what he wanted to do and that he retired to the hills of West Cork and Coolay. That's the story told by those who didn't understand what he was doing. He thought he was returning home. It's the countryside of his mother. The songs he learnt growing up, the music he learnt, was a lot of it was from his mother, most of it, because she has a very strong personality. The very first piece of music he wrote was a song from Coolay, The Banks of Ceylon. So it was a returning home for him.
His background influenced him very much. I suppose the fact that he went to UCC and studied under Fleischmann, the fact that he went to Dunqueen and discovered Irish there. I suppose maybe it was the era he was going through, the fact that he was working, that he wrote the score for Misha Era, and that he would have come in contact with lots of very colourful people during the 50s and 60s.
Sean O'Riordan realised the importance of what he was doing for Irish music, and you know, the prominence that Irish music has today would not have been achieved in any way without Sean O'Riordan. And like, that to him was his mission.
When Sean O'Riordan died at just 40 years of age, the country mourned a great musical hero, and his 7 children lost a father. O'Riordan had put Irish music and culture on an international stage and inspired the nation to rejoice in their musical heritage in a way that they had never done before.
He was also highly acknowledged as a classical composer, although he was known mostly for his groundbreaking work with Ceol Tóirí Cholin. Originally from Cork City, he had made his home here in the Gaeltacht village of Coolay.
This year, had he lived, he would have turned 77. And to mark the occasion, people came from all over the country for the unveiling of a statue in his honour, located outside the church in the village where O'Riordan performed some of his most memorable liturgical music.
He was such a great person that we decided this had to be done, so we came together, we fundraised, and here it is now as a memory to him, and we feel that it's only the start of something great, and that it would help us to celebrate our Irishness and our nation.
This rock, which was going to be cut into standing stones, and I said, my God, you know, this is such a big, beautiful piece of stone, we can't cut it at all. But I saw immediately that it was going to be perfect for a base for the sculpture. I don't realise it yet, I suppose, but the fact, but I say I would have been aware, like, of Sean O'Riordan's position in the cultural history of Ireland before I ever came near this job, you know. And when I got it, like, I said, geez, this is a special thing, you know, I better be on a farm here, like, big challenge, you know. And it happened, it just happened, and I'm happy with it. Special man. And I think even the pose, as I was told subsequently by Sean O'Shea, that it's just what he would do. You know.
The fact that the statue is there kind of anchors his life very firmly where he lived the last quarter of his life, the last half of his adult life, and where he felt he had done some of his most important creative work.
On the day of the unveiling, it was a fine day, it was a beautiful day, it was a special day, as I say, because Cooley is a special place with special energy and special people. But we went into the church and I said thanks, 1,000 times I said thanks, because I had prayed a lot in the course of that job, just for guidance all the time, you know, and it always seemed to happen, just worked out that way. But there was a great feeling of relief and catharsis, you know, the job was done, thanks be to God, you know, and people were happy. And when I hadn't met the O'Riordan family at all previously to the unveiling, except for Rachel, and previous to the unveiling, and on the day when I met the people, and they said to me, "Oh God, look, it's just like him." You know? That was a sort of vindication at last, you know. So it was a great feeling, really. It was a great day all round.
Well, it was an emotional day for all of us. I suppose I was thinking mainly of my mother in particular. You know, she would have been so proud if she was here. She would have been proud not alone to see the statue, but to see all her children grown up and her grandchildren. So it would have been a brilliant day for her. So it was kind of very sad that she wasn't here.
We had a wonderful day, absolutely marvellous day. We had a beautiful mass. The surviving members of Clár all came and played during the mass, and afterwards on a special little stage here near the monument. The sun shone during the whole proceedings, huge crowd. We had the dancing went on until late at night, and I think if O'Riordan was here, he'd have pulled us around him, members of Cork Cooley. We'd probably have sang a few songs, finishing with Gillamar, and he'd have said, "Come on lads, let's head for Dunwillen or Tappacoon."
Well, it just reminds everybody, I think, of what Sean O'Riordan did and the importance of Sean. There are many, many young people now who just don't know who Sean O'Riordan was, and it just amazes me sometimes when I have to explain, and then things begin to connect with this great man that came here to Cooley.
But what would the man himself have made of such a tribute?
Well, I don't know what he'd say about the statue. I'd say he'd probably say, "Who's your man?" or something like that. He probably would have about 10 different ideas about things to do with the statue or ways to use it or something like that. Because his imagination was always running right like that. He'd have made up 20 good stories about it, and he would have enjoyed it.
He'd be very chuffed, I'm sure he'd be very chuffed, but he'd also have a bit of a laugh about himself. He wouldn't take it very seriously, I don't think, but he'd be thrilled and honoured, I suppose, that people thought him important enough.
His influence on me was so great, and that I enjoyed so much my times with him. I miss him. I sometimes kind of address to myself the mystery of life to say, why is he not here? Because he's only a couple of years older than me. There isn't a day since he died that I don't think of him and wish him well. in his new life.
Almost a hort an son don Cheoltóir agus don Commodore Cáiliúil Seán Ó Riada agus Seomaris Cuidar Noig. Now we've moved up the road a little bit to Gúgán Barra, a place that's steeped in natural beauty and also in history. And we're going to have a chat with Sean O'Sullivan, local historian. It's all about St Finbar, isn't it, here?
It is, all right, yes. The name Gúgán Barra derives from Gúgán, means a hollow or a cleft in the rock, and when viewing it from far away, it's like a dug out from the mountain.
Well, that's the natural beauty.
Yes.
And what is the association with St Finbar?
Well, St Finbar came here in the 6th century and set up a school, and it was the tradition at the time, or the habit at the time, to go to isolated places like Skellig Vihil and St Michael's Rock in Brittany. And he came here and he set up a teaching university for all his disciples around West Cork, and various saints spent time here.
Now it's also very popular for another reason, and I suppose it's no surprise given the beauty of the place. A lot of people come here for weddings.
That's right, yes. There's about 150 weddings here every year.
Gosh.
And
in this little St Finbar's oratory here?
Yes, in the oratory there's 150 every year.
And there's so much to do here, isn't there? I mean, there's the pilgrimages, there's people coming here to get married, there's beautiful scenery and walks.
The mountains around here are a great facility for walking, and Forest Park. The first Forest Park in Ireland was set up here actually in Gúgán Barra in 1965, and recently they redeveloped all the walks within the Forest Park.
Wonderful. And is it true that this is the source of the River Lee?
Yeah, the River Lee rises in the mountains just above the lake and flows down into the Gúgán Barra lake, and then finds its way towards Cork City.
A wonderful thing about the Muscraí Gaeltacht is that you never know where you might end up. Look at me. I've landed in the Cooley Farmhouse Cheese Factory. It's run by the Willems family. And Dickie Willems, with a name like that, I don't think you're local to these parts.
No, we're not. No. Hi, Mary. We moved here in 1979. We're Dutch originally. I was 10 years of age when we got here. My sister was 8.5, I think, at the time. We've been here ever since and love it. It's a nice place.
And how did you end up making cheese?
It was something when we moved to Ireland first. I mean, in Holland we were used to eating a Gouda type cheese, which is, it's a quite easy cheese, quite mild in flavour. And the only cheeses we had available here at the time were cheddars, factory cheddars. So my mother decided to get a little homemaking cheese kit from Holland, and she started making small little cheeses. And they were like Goudas basically, and very, very nice. And people that used to visit used to like them, etc. So we became a business bit by bit,
Really? Gosh, that's a lovely story. And where did you get the recipe?
The recipe came from a book. I mean, my mother started from a book, and we just kind of, we did our own thing with it. I mean, our temperatures are slightly different. Our process varies slightly from the Gouda process. The milk is different because it's being produced here in the mountains rather than in Holland on the flat pastures.
Yeah.
And it seems to create a nice cheese because we're doing quite well with it, So.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the awards. Dickie,
yeah, we've won a lot over the years, yeah. Starting dating back to 1983, I'd say. With the first one, and even up to 3 weeks ago, we won one in Listowel.
Dickie, your mother started the business many years ago, but she's retired now and you're at the helm.
My mother she wanted, she did this for a good number of years, and she did it very well, and she had enough. And as a young girl, she actually went to an artist school, basically, and she never had the chance, seeing as we were growing up and she had to, money had to be made, etc., to paint and to do what she really wanted to do. So that's her hobby, or her part-time now, her business really almost,
How do you find bringing up your family here in the Gaeltacht?
I find it great, to be honest with you. I mean, first of all, we have very small schools, so the attention given to our children is unbelievable. They learn a second language, Irish, which is never a bad thing, no matter what way you're looking at. I speak Dutch and English. I think it's an advantage for anything else you want to learn afterwards. And I think it's a beautiful area as well.
Agus an bhfuil Gaeilge gut?
Tá bíodh gáil,
Agus Ganairi Gagal and Winter Willems agus Cosh Cooley. Well, there's no other way you could end a programme from the Muscraí Gaeltacht, which is so steeped in tradition, in our heritage, and particularly in music, than Le Píosa Ceol. Agus tá mí tréis tacht go dtí an pub is Irde sa tír seo. We've come to Ireland's highest pub at the top of Coombe, and we're going to leave you with some music. Píosa Ceol chun deire chuir leis an lár of Winter Losa. Hope you've enjoyed our programme and our visit to the Muscraí Gaeltacht. Onhainir of Wirren, Iwahagwif, agus Godéis of Slán.
And on next Wednesday's programme, how the artist's eye captures the strength and beauty of our animal kingdom. we meet 3 lady artists in County Tipperary and see their new gallery. The pets which have made such a difference to the children of a centre for the visually impaired and to their therapy. And couch potato cooches. They're getting as fat as their owners, but something is being done about it.